Hi folks, we're back. And we here at Maison Otaku have been using about the last 3 months to work hard on our new episodes. Matter of fact, let's go check in on Mike. Right down this hallway, full of awesome Robot Carnival artwork and other awesome artwork, we will find Mike, hard at work editing the new episode. Mike, are you playing a dating sim?
God damn it, for the last time, Wonder Project J2 is not a dating sim.
That's a girl.
Yes.
You're trying to make her do what you want.
Yes.
Dating sim.
Just, what do you want?
Well, I want the new episode. The people have waited.
I mean, I get... But what do you want me to do?
Throw together a snappy opening to make it up to him?
I think I can pull it off.
Shorisha nado igai Tatakai ni tsukare hate Hoshi zora o miyageru Naku koto mo kanawanai I don't need kino nado iranai I don't.
Hello. Welcome to Maison Otaku. Come in. Have a seat.
I'm Justin,
And I'm Mike.
and we're here to talk to you about anime.
And we're back!
We're back! About time! It's been a while.
Yep.
We took a little bit of an intermission, but we're back. We're going to be back on our regular schedule
More or less.
with a lot of interesting things to say.
Yep. Well, first, just getting stuff going, I got a cool new acquisition. This is Honey. This is a completely off-the-wall classic 70s shoujo that the dub made even crazier. If you can find these, it's worth it. This right here is the beta, which makes it more awesome. This is actually also available on 8mm film, so if any of you have that, we pay cash.
Yeah. The really neat thing about this to me, I haven't watched it yet, mostly because Mike's still tracking down a working beta player, but the character designs, doing the research into what it looks like, it looks so much like Rose of Versailles, it's uncanny.
Yep.
Now, I actually, continuing to get more and more research material, found the Anime Companion. This is a neat little book. If you are a complete neophyte, it's a great read for trying to understand some of the more cultural references in most anime. Little dated, and a lot of your more recent stuff is just plain not going to cover. On top of that, it makes a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
And it doesn't dive a lot into regional stuff. So you're not going to see too much of that, but if you want a gateway, good read, definitely helps open your eyes to a lot more interesting things. It's not going to help you understand Ghost in the Shell 2,
Yeah.
but it will at least help you understand who's who when they're making comments, hence on historical and mythical figures.
Yes. Basically, if you remember the little glossary that's at the end of your chapters in your grade school textbooks, it's a whole book of that.
Yeah. And speaking of our elementary school textbooks, we've found a way to make the world a better place.
Yes, we did a thing.
We did a thing. We,
Us too.
Maison Otaku,
Yes.
responsible for Discotek re-releasing Robot Carnival.
Yes. Feel free to bask in our glory.
Our magnificence knows no bounds. And until somebody at Discotek tells us otherwise, which is a possible thing, but not likely because they're not really paying attention, we take credit for this.
Yes. Yeah.
We believe in our heart of hearts that we are responsible for bringing Robot Carnival back from the dead.
And we will continue to take full credit until one of the Discotek staff gut punches us.
Yes. In the meantime, let's see what's our next target. What's our next aim?
Next target, man. What do we need to rescue?
We'll get back to you on that. But stay tuned. We will have another target. But instead of a target, how about a topic?
Yeah, topics are important. So, we're just gonna jump right into this one. Stay tuned.
We decided when we set out on this episode that we wanted to talk about something a little uncommon, but not a specific uncommon thing.
Yep.
So naturally, the first thing that came to our mind was Cowboy Bebop. Follow along. This might get a little dense.
Cowboy Bebop, it's one of the ones everyone loves, and there's actually good reason for that. You have, regardless of whether or not you find the characters likable, they all are all certainly interesting.
The character designs are fantastic. They're by a noted master, Toshihiro Kawamoto.
Yoko Kanno soundtrack, enough said.
The fusion of disparate elements of kung fu movies, blaxploitation, it's a Quentin Tarantino anime without the Tarantino baggage.
Yes.
And that makes it about near perfect, really, which is why it's such an evergreen anime, why it's so universal. And at the other end of the spectrum is Dirty Pair Flash.
Yes. Where the characters are uninteresting and unlikable and done wrong.
And the artwork is painful, or at least uninspired.
Yeah. The whole thing is corporate.
And the music is forgettable on its good days.
Yeah.
So, it's easy enough for us to start running into that pile of dreck that would be those series like Dirty Pair Flash.
And don't worry, we will take a heaping shovelful of that later.
Oh, absolutely. And it's also fairly easy to talk about series like Cowboy Bebop, like movies like Macross Do You Remember Love, the absolute top of the pile. So we decided not to take the easy route.
Yeah, we looked for the needles in the haystack, so to speak.
And we decided that something that was actually really interesting us at this moment in time were the shows and the movies and the projects that came this close.
Yep. These are all something that had potential to be awesome. Some even started out awesome, but at one point or other they dropped the ball, and for literally one or two reasons, they ended up being just mediocre and forgettable at best.
Yes. They're still interesting. They're still worth it.
There's something there, but not as much as there should have been.
And we're going to lead off, really, with one of the ones that sticks in Mike's craw, which also ties in with our fantastic episode on why isn't there more high fantasy.
Yep. So basically, there was a movie called Heroic Legend of Arslan. Or Arslan, as they insist it's pronounced, whatever, English and all that. Anyway, the movie itself is fantastic. It is kind of a sort of, short self-contained story, but it's all there. High budget animation, overall solid directing, and easily one of the best ending themes to a fantasy anime, rivaling even anything that Record of Lodoss War threw together.
And this was part of that whole period of time where they were really trying to make fantasy anime, right after Lodoss War had hit.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit more what you might call low fantasy, sort of running the rails between historical fiction and Conan the Barbarian type stuff, but it's still fantasy. But here's the problem. After the movie, things get a little fuzzy. They decide to continue the story from the movie with an OVA series, and it just it's sort of this weird, unfinished roller coaster where about halfway through the series they lose the plot and almost pull a Pirates of Dark Water. which we will talk about in a later episode where we discuss Western cartoons.
Yes.
But long story short, if you're not familiar, second season of Pirates of Dark Water, they decide, okay, we've had a continuous story going, let's just have the characters run around in what is effectively a season full of filler episodes and then end it.
Yes.
This almost did that.
And it's really kind of terrible because you're looking at the pedigree that came out of the film and reacting with a collective meh.
Yeah. And it hurts even worse because if it just petered out and the rest of it was irrelevant, fine, whatever. I mean, heck, even as much as we love the Guyver OVAs, Guyver 2 wasn't that good, looking back at it. But this one, the last episode, they decide, okay, we're going to get in, and you can actually feel the energy of, they were just like, oh, wait, yeah, we got to do a thing. So everyone gets together, everyone's reinvested, both the staff and the characters, it feels like. They tie up a bunch of loose ends, and they set everything up where there's going to be, okay, we're going to be having this big climactic war, and the last thing you see is two armies lining up on either side of a field, getting ready to do battle, and it ends and there's nothing more.
Yes.
And it's just like, but
everything about Arslan points to a series of internal issues that are not really well documented. There are very, very few instances where you can actually track down the information of this director had problems with this writer and so forth. So we really don't know.
And that really is what the whole problem with the series can be summed up in: utterly inconsistent direction.
Yes. An inconsistent direction is always a problem, especially when you have good source material, because then you have good source material you don't do anything with.
Mm-hmm.
Alternately, you have an issue like with the next show we're going to discuss, where there is very, very, very consistent direction. It's just
not good.
Not good. It's problems with tone and problems with
not understanding the project they're putting together, to be honest. It's like giving a barn to a shipbuilder. They can do it, but it may not necessarily turn out looking like a barn.
Right. We're talking about Noir. B-Train is one of the studios we will like to smack around with the "you suck" bat.
Yes, frequently.
And a lot of that is owed to Blade of the Immortal and Dot Hack.
Why did they let them do Blade of the Immortal?
But Noir was really kind of their little breakout piece because Dot Hack, they couldn't really get out from underneath the fact that Bandai wanted them to make a marketing tool for this range of RPGs.
Yes.
That was just how things were running. Noir was this really slick, stylish gun bunny anime. And we were on board for it.
Before we saw it.
About 15 minutes after, really neat fight sequence, beautiful opening. After setting up these two interesting female characters, we're already recycling the footage from earlier in the episode.
Yeah. We're
already seeing things like, why aren't they bleeding?
Yeah, it's so... If you're going to make... And this is a criticism I also have of modern action films. If you're going to make something about people shooting the shit out of other people, have gore. In Noir, you don't even see entry wounds.
It's a very sterile piece. That's the biggest complaint about Noir, is so many decisions seem to have been made to clean it up. And it's not a clean piece of subject matter.
Yes. It's like, I'm willing to buy lack of blood and guts in something like, say, .hack, where everything technically takes place inside of an online video game. Fine. This is a story about assassins. There should be more assassinating going on instead of girls bitching about stuff, which brings me to the other problem you find out later on. These interesting women you find out really aren't that interesting.
They had interesting ideas, or at least they had the appearance of interesting ideas that they hid very cleverly behind mystery. But then they solved the mystery very early on, and we're dealt with just bland characters going through an uninteresting challenge. And it's these sort of directorial decisions that show they didn't understand what they had.
So,
And like I said, it turns out very clean and sterile.
yep. And we can boil these problems down to two basic layers. First of all, the general baggage of B-Train. But even more, it's, like I said, they didn't understand what they were trying to do. I maintain, and I will always maintain, you can make a serious Gun Bunny anime. And it's really easy. You could, well, first, the most easy way is to just blatantly copy off Kenichi Sonoda.
Yes.
You know,
After all, that's kind of what he did.
yeah.
Or, for that matter, you know, Golgo 13, Duke Togo.
Yeah, with chicks.
Let's check. Now, going from directors who don't understand their source material and series that are not pulling off what they set out to do, here's one of my favorite comedy shows. And it is one of my favorite comedy shows that absolutely was 100% committed to what they wanted to do. It just so happened that it was not in good taste at any point in time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gross out humor, there's coarse humor, there's crude humor, then there's Ping Pong Club. Ping Pong Club is warped.
Yeah. I think I'd rather watch Colorful.
I would also rather watch Colorful, but I own both.
Right.
And Ping Pong Club is something you only can watch if you're really good friends with the people around you.
Or drunk.
Drunk works too. It's full of scatological humor, it's full of sexual humor, it's full of gross out humor, which is all stuff that you just really do not see. I mean,
Yeah.
name me one other right off the top of your head.
Shin-chan.
Yeah, Shin-chan.
That kind of tells you something.
That is a company of two.
Yeah.
Arguably Penny and Stocking. When you're that small, a little community of comedy, it's very difficult to find an audience. And there was no compromise with it. I really respect Ping Pong Club for there being no compromise whatsoever. No, we are going to make fun of things. We're going to make jokes about American body odor. We're going to show penises. We're going to do all of this stuff, and we're going to run with it. And we're going to deal with the fact that not everybody's going to like it.
Yeah.
I don't think they were quite ready to deal with the idea that maybe nobody would like it.
It's, I'm really reminded, do you remember that episode of Galaxy Express 39 Planet of Fury?
Yes.
Yeah. Or no, not the Professional Soul, rather. It's really, I'm reminded of that, the line that Maytel says as they're leaving. People there stick to their convictions. That's the only good thing about that place. That is Ping Pong Club.
Yes, and it's a telling warning. On one hand, you can be like Noir, and you're trying so hard to appeal to as wide a variety of an audience that
You appeal to no one.
you appeal to no one, or you can absolutely stick to your guns and do exactly what you want to do with Ping Pong Club and not have an audience.
But we're not gonna knock that one too much for doing that, people in glass houses and all that.
Yes. Speaking of being able to see nude things you weren't expecting, There's a segue I wasn't quite prepared to make.
Yes. Yes.
Our final show that we want to talk about, this is dealing with inviting controversy.
Yes.
For a very simple decision that nobody can quite explain without feeling icky.
Yeah, it icky is really the term.
Yes. I want to put this right out there. I enjoyed Dance in the Vampire Bund. It's a little schlocky, but that's good.
Well, the schlock was the part I liked about it.
Yeah. The idea of, an independent vampire state and the vampire queen and her werewolf consort, all a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Even the playful, flirtatious humor, even the little bits and pieces of bureaucracy inside of the vampire world, it's all good stuff. It's all exactly the sort of thing you'd want out of a schlocky, kind of horror, kind of action, kind of comedy show.
Yeah. Then you get to the main character.
The main character, who is a likable main character, who's relatable, who's well written, who's prepubescent.
Which wouldn't be an issue.
Wouldn't be an issue.
But
Yeah.
this was a realm even Anne Rice kind of avoided. For the most part, anyway.
For the most part. I mean, there's what's her name, an interview for the vampire.
Yeah, but it still wasn't this bad.
Right, it wasn't this bad, and
She just killed people.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Sexualizing a prepubescent character, plenty of folks are going to throw at us about
Yeah, we get it.
real age,
Yeah.
so forth.
That doesn't change what we're seeing.
Doesn't change what we're seeing. It doesn't change what's on the screen, and it doesn't change the question of why did you do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing. Yeah, there would be nothing wrong with the show if it was a post-pubescent character.
Yeah.
There would be absolutely nothing wrong with this in a show if it was a woman character. There would be absolutely nothing wrong with the show if it was a male character. If it was, okay, so it's you could have more easily gotten away with Dance in the Vampire Bund as two adult men than you could have with a young man and a prepubescent girl. It took everything that was good about the show, everything that Mike and I even found we could enjoy, and did away with it.
Yep.
Lost it all under the sea of
Yeah.
and nobody can answer why they did that.
I mean, I'm
Without-
fairly certain a lot of it's supposed to be referential to the Lolita novel, but again, that raises the question: why?
Yeah, I mean, Nabokov's novel was all about, isn't this kind of creepy?
Yeah.
And you could follow it up with Kubrick's film. It was kind of about, isn't this kind of creepy? Nobody was trying to say, hey, aren't sexualized little girls kind of creepy?
Well,
And-
even leading back to the comment I just made, Anne Rice was going, "This is f***ed up."
Yes. And it was a single style decision. It was a single decision.
Yeah.
And it was a decision that brought it all down like a house of cards for a lot of folks. It could have been as big as Hellsing. I firmly believe it could have been as big as Hellsing
Yeah.
with as fun a show it was. But they carved out such a huge chunk of potential audience by making a decision that they're not willing to explain because none of the answers are ones we want to hear.
Yeah.
I think that really does
Yeah.
give a good room to breathe on
Yeah.
what we're talking about when we say so close to right.
Yeah. And we had two that they didn't quite know what they were doing, and two where they knew what they were doing, we're just not sure why they did it.
Absolutely. And if you stay tuned, we'll give you a couple more examples that maybe don't have as much information, but certainly will give you a chance to think about exactly what we're on about.
So, there's a bit more to talk about with this stuff, but there are a few where we could just kind of say one or two things that went wrong. So, here's a slideshow of some honorable mentions.
Yeah, keep in mind, maybe you'll even disagree with us on this, but we do feel that these shows are good examples of ones that are B+, C+.
Mostly.
Just not quite that A-level show that's a real, true classic.
Yep. Yeah, so just look those up. You'll see. But,
Going back to the other end of the spectrum, I suppose.
yep. This is a slightly different take on a similar theme. This is stuff, mostly crap, even the best of it's just mediocre, where there was one or two things that were really cool about it and everything else was crap, or they just really, really dropped the ball.
Yeah, they missed badly on something.
Mm-hmm. And as the title shows, it's, well, why didn't you just do that?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And we're going to start off with one of Mike's favorite examples,
Yeah.
actually. He harps on this a lot. I disagree with him regularly, but we'll let him have this one.
Yeah. First one is Martian successor Nadesico. Now, this of course is based on a Kiyasamiya manga, and there's a lot of his works I wanted to put on there, but we're saving those for an episode on him.
Yeah, Asamiya is wonderfully inept and brilliant at the same time.
Yes, but we'll go into that in a future episode. So, Martian successor Nadesico kind of took a piece of the Eva pie following the success of Eva, where it's like, okay, we're basically having a Shinji character, and it's going to be this whiny, downtrodden tale it's telling. So overall, it's uninteresting. It's not garbage, but it's not good. The interesting things, and I wish they had done that. First of all, one of the characters, Gai Dai Goji, best character inarguably in the whole show, and he gets killed off in episode like 3 or 4, and I give them credit. Yeah.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah. It's like it's on the first DVD. If someone dies in the first DVD, I'm not bothering putting spoiler alert.
Yeah, but they expect us to wave our arms about like idiots.
Okay. Anyway. But yeah, I definitely give them props for being willing to kill off such a great character so early. But in this case, I wish they hadn't.
Yeah, just
because there's nothing worth watching. And the main thing that's way more interesting than the actual show, they have an homage to all the great 70s Super Mech series actually done in a 70s art style and animation style. Geki Gengar 3. there's this wonderful, awesome, like, episode where they actually have the characters of Geki Gengar 3 watching Nadesico, and it's a Geki Gengar 3 episode. And it's kind of shoved into a clip show, but it's like the best show on the whole thing. And you know you done screwed up when your clip show is your best episode.
I tend not to take such a hard line on Nadesico just because it's another good example of that nice little bright period at AIC.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're producing really nice quality material. And Nadesico does its best to try and satirize Eva to an extent, but it doesn't go quite all the way.
Yeah, it kind of half-asses that.
And that's really the biggest problem. It half-asses so much and leaves you wanting a 70s combining mecha show.
Yep.
Maps.
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah, that's one of those ones that sucks, but I still like it. I fully acknowledge that it sucks. But see, really quick thing about Maps. Easy to sum up. It's a 4-episode, 90s sci-fi OVA. And I'm pretty sure the meeting where they got together to figure out what they want to do, they're like, hey, you know that flying lady hood ornament? What if there were, like, spaceships? Oh, man, that's a great idea! But then when they went to throw the series together, they just kind of ticked off all the lazy boxes. Okay, so we have an expansive universe that we hint at and never really go into. Check. Normal dude from Earth getting sucked up into this. Check. Dude's annoying girlfriend. Check. Half-naked hot women. Check, 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 and check. We got a story. We'll have one by lunch.
Maybe go back to the half-naked hot woman.
No. There you go.
Okay. Okay. Now, that was a very by-the-numbers piece, and it's kind of good that we show a by-the-numbers piece like that because they happen a lot in anime. There's a lot of anime as product out there. Another good one for that is LR, licensed by royalty. Boy, was Pioneer certain they had a hit. Pioneer was so certain that this would be their next hit that on the Pioneer DVDs they had an unskippable trailer for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they pumped like this, like manga pumped Gundress.
Yeah, it was as pimped as Gundress. They believed wholeheartedly this was the next Cowboy Bebop. This was what was going to break them wide open.
And fittingly enough, it flopped like Gundress.
Yes. Very simply, people were sick of it before they even got a chance to see it. And it was an okay little action show, but that was it.
Yeah, honestly, I have a feeling that they were banking on pulling over the Read or Die crowd, which is a stupid idea because that was already a really small demographic.
Speaking of small demographics that mostly boil down to you and the president of Central Park Media,
Yeah.
MD Geist.
Yeah. MD Geist, we talked about it a bunch, so really simple, just gonna re-sum it up. Awesome mecha designs, shit everything else.
Very, 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 very terrible. And it's very easy to get your design work great. Heck, we can rattle off a lot of X-Driver, Kosuke Fujishima character designs, Kosuke Fujishima detail on all the cars.
Yeah, so hot chicks driving realistic detailed street racers.
Yes, and they're cool cars. Lancia Stratos, Lotus Europa, Caterham Super 7. At one point we see Lamborghini Countach. Awesome! Why is the show so bad?
Yeah.
The show is so bad. The movie's bad. They had made a lousy show, and then they made a lousy movie.
It really would have been better if they had just gone the route of mindless car porn.
Yes. Fujishima-san, we love you. We want you to do more stuff. We know that you love drawing beautiful women in cars.
Just do that.
Just do that.
We won't knock you for lack of story.
Yeah. Heck, find out wherever Shiro's working and just do calendars.
Yeah. Yeah. I would totally buy a Kosuke Fujishima bikini chicken car calendar.
Yes.
You have 2 customers right now.
You have all of Mike's money.
Yes.
Yeah, we have contributed to the world again.
Yep. Yeah, so by our standing, like, you gotta wait, what, about 9 months or so for him to decide to do that?
Yeah. So you got 9 months, prove us right. Just like we're right about Yukikaze.
Yeah, this is very similar. We love fighter jets. I think you've figured that out by now.
Yeah.
I mean, Area 88, all that great stuff. Yukikaze is awesome because it's what I would have loved Independence Day to be. Okay, so aliens invaded Earth. And this is the backstory here. We've defeated them. We're now taking the fight to their home planet with crazy fighter jets that are meant to work in their unique atmosphere. So you have all these unique wing designs, different body shapes. It is fighter jet porn.
It is.
The story sucks, and the characters are forgettable. And there's a lot of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. And it exists in that weird realm of anime where they're perpetuating it simply because the fan base loves to buy the model kits.
Yeah.
I can't fault them for that.
I buy the shit out of some Yukikaze model kits.
But when it results in something like Rescue Me Mav-chan, which is a desperate plea from the creators to not forget their show, to remember that, okay, there's a show too, there's not just all these fighter jets, there's a show too.
Yeah,
you done goofed.
Yeah, and like X-Driver, it would have been much better if you had just gone the route of fighter jet porn. Mm-hmm. It really, seriously.
Yeah. If it were
just aerial battle after aerial battle, cool fighter jets versus alien spacecraft. Maybe have just treat it like the Air Force Delta games. Battle after battle with like 5-10 minutes of dialogue in between.
Yeah, and the dialogue is, Fighter Jock A and Fighter Jock B have a rivalry going, and maybe one is like level-headed and thinking tactician guy, and the other one's all natural talent and pulling off crazy maneuvers, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And also, the music's okay, but they really would have done a much better job by taking a hint from the Area 88 TV series and just getting a bunch of trance techno artists to do their soundtrack. Because there are a few things I love more than trance techno put to a good aerial dogfight.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm definitely not alone in that.
Oh, absolutely. And there are so many examples. We'll wrap with a couple more. We got a good double header.
Yes. These are two that I really, really wanted to love, but I couldn't.
And it's amazing because they're using the same basic idea and they're using the same basic mistake.
Yeah. Talking about Nazca and Please Save My Earth. Both of them involve people who died hundreds, and actually in the case of Please Save My Earth, thousands of years ago, and are reincarnated modern-day Earth. In the case of Please Save My Earth, they're actually alien scientists who look just like humans, but whatever, who die on an observation base on the moon and are reincarnated, and then they regain their memories and have psychic powers. Nazca, same basic thing, except they're humans. They were previously Inca warriors, and then, they get reincarnated in here, and now they can just, materialize golden broadswords because Japan.
Yeah. But don't worry, the Incas can do that too. I'm sure it's inscribed on some clay pot somewhere.
Yeah. It's just... Okay, we'll start with the easier one to talk about what was bad about it. Nazca mainly f***ed up because in their past lives, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! They look exactly the same. They didn't even change their skin tone.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult to buy into Nazca. There's a great story they're trying to tell, but they don't tell it 100%. Well, yeah. This is a big deal to me. I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to explain a big deal to me. Visual storytelling medium. What that means is that your art and your dialogue both tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
If your art doesn't match, you aren't completely telling your story. You cannot expect your viewer to invest themselves in your story if it doesn't look like your story.
Yep. Now, Please Save My Earth does that all well and good. In fact, they actually do make all the characters... In fact, some of the characters in their past lives were different sexes. Mm-hmm. But that's where it goes into some of... It gets a little yaoi about halfway through, because one of the dudes used to be a chick, and then the previous lover's reincarnation is still a guy.
There's... Please Save My Earth tries to do a lot of very avant-garde things and falls flat on its face.
Yeah.
Please Save My Earth is the overly ambitious one of the pair. Nazca is the under-ambitious member.
Yeah, this was, as he said in the previous episode, Pioneer scraping the bottom of the barrel phase. Mm-hmm. Also, it's worth noting that the one interesting thing about Nazca is the fact that if you look, scenes from the opening sequence or scenes from one of the episodes rather, were used in the opening sequence of Malcolm in the Middle. So if you wonder what those crazy cartoons were, that's that.
Yep.
Now,
I know.
Yeah.
Full disclosure. Mike has previously commented to me in a previous episode that I just seem to watch things that have big boobs in them. This is not true, but this is mildly indicative of my viewing habits.
Yes.
I like Queen's Blade. I like Cutie Honey. I even admittedly enjoyed Grenadier.
Hell, despite the fact that you will talk shit about it, you also admitted to liking Amazing Nurse Nanako.
Yeah, I did admit to liking Amazing Nurse Nanako, and that's by the same creator as what I'm about to talk about. Divergence Eve.
Yep.
Now, here's the oddball thing about Divergence Eve. Divergence Eve is the same creator, the same art, the same ridiculous torpedo tits.
Yeah, they really are. Oh, man.
Of which I am a fan. Just full disclosure. Sorry, folks. I like it. I'm not going to use the word attractive. I think it is striking.
Yeah. Again, much the same way the F4 Phantom is striking.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about Divergence Eve is you have to ignore them. If you can ignore, again, the visual dichotomy, same problem as Nazca, you have an amazing, rich space opera.
Yes. And that really sums up the whole theme of this. It's you have to ignore the main thing it's doing and focus on something that's doing on the side in order to enjoy it.
Yes. You have to be able to completely ignore giant torpedo boobs in order to appreciate a space opera story grounded in hard science.
And the main problem in this comes where they took this, hardcore space opera and just stretched it really thin and used it as window dressing to spice up a big franchise that mainly just is there to focus on the torpedo hits. I mean, hell, this is the opening theme to the main series.
I hope this gives you a bit of an idea as to how fragile any artwork can be.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is one bad decision away from the bottom of the barrel.
Yep.
I mean, let's face it. If they had called Spike Fred, we may not be talking about Cowboy Bebop.
Yep.
Fred Spiegel is just not as memorable.
Yep. I mean,
all apologies to anyone out in the world that may actually be named Fred Spiegel.
Yeah. We're not talking Spike. We're just saying we wouldn't necessarily want to watch an anime about you. But basically, if Rintaro's taught us anything, even the greatest of works are just one misstep away from complete disaster.
Mm-hmm. Well, gotten to that point in the show, and since I have no paper, clearly we have no question. But don't worry, there's 15 episodes in this season, so that's 14 more chances you have to get your question in and answered here on Maison Otaku. And who knows, we might even have some sort of drawing for the question asking the question. So at the end of the series, end of the season, maybe there'll be a prize. Maybe. We're making this up as we go along.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
but what wasn't made up as we went along? My recommendation.
Oh yeah.
This week, I am recommending a man who is probably planning on killing Mike and I right now.
Mm-hmm.
Who could kill anyone at any time with anything, but will most likely use an M16. Duke Togo, Golgo 13. It's really kind of a shame this franchise made it so late to the States as a hit.
As a hit, yeah.
Yeah. Because it snuck in some of the films in the early 90s. And also on the NES as a couple of...
Wait, I still think I have one. Another thing I got recently.
Yes. The Moffat Conspiracy. See this man? This man is going to kill everyone on this cover, including the Arc de Triomphe.
Yep.
He's going to assassinate the Arc de Triomphe, and then he's going to have sex with this woman.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. That is what this man has been doing since the late 60s.
Yeah, this cover really sums up the entirety of what you can expect from Golgo 13.
Duke Togo, the lead character of Golgo 13, is an international assassin. He is the best shot in the world.
Yeah, he is the blackjack of killing people, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And every episode, every manga chapter, everything plays out in the same way. The impossible kill is required. Duke Togo goes out and makes the impossible kill. Somewhere along the line, he will make modifications to his gun, or come up with a creative way to smuggle a gun into an area. He will drive an impressive car, usually an exotic of some kind. He will have sex with a beautiful woman.
And occasionally fight off an army of poorly rendered CGI helicopters.
Yeah. Or single-handedly take down an army of mobsters and leave with a big suitcase of money.
Yes. You see, for Duke Togo, there is no problem that cannot be solved by a specialized M16 and casual sex.
Duke Togo is a result of the late 60s. Been around a long time. And is considered the salaryman's favorite.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is just because he's a power fantasy. He is the Japanese James Bond character. The idea of this omni-capable man who makes the world exactly as he sees fit. And everything goes his way. And it's hysterical because Duke always has this really growling grimace on his face. Ooh.
Yeah.
No matter what he's doing. And it sounds ridiculous, but he is actually intimidating. I mean, the man looks intimidating holding a balloon.
Yes.
Amazing franchise. Just watch the TV series if you don't want to dig too far into it, because there's a lot of it out there. But genuinely one of the coolest pieces of that great late 60s period that gave us Duke Togo, Lupin the Third, and really standing head and shoulders above them all, Captain Phantom H. Harlock. And so,
Yeah, once again.
in Season 2,
Yep.
we've proven Leiji Matsumoto is superior to something else.
And with that, it is time to go. But not for 3 months, so, stick around. We're good.
Absolutely. We are back. So,
From all of us here at Maison Otaku,
this is Justin,
and Mike, saying, enjoy what you watch.
and share what you enjoy.
My universe will never be the same. But ME3, your ending's kinda lame. Aboard the Normandy, Shepard has got a thing for us, sorry. And Joker's mind undressing AID. It's like a multi-species love orgy. The final chapter's here, Crucible set to go. Turns out the elusive man's working with Ezio. And now that might sound absurd, but if you played the game, you'd want an alt ending. Let's hope the DLC will make it worth playing. I picked my squad, I chose my path. The Geth armies are in the past. My universe will never be the same. But ME3, your ending's really lame. What's with this catalyst? It's like they took an M. Night Shyamalan twist. No matter how you play, it comes to this. Looks like BioWare's got some shit to fix.
It's perfect.
Now what if at the end, mankind's still losing the war? Shepard takes the mass relays to kingdoms of Amalur, where he gets the Faithless One and travels to Skyrim to get back up from the Nords. And if we're still too weak, we'll bring in Master Chief. I picked my squad, I chose my path. The Geth armies are in the past. My universe will never be the same. But ME3, your ending's lame.
You know, I've been playing this game for 5 years now, alright? For 5 years. And then this guy from BioWare goes, oh, we were all genuinely surprised at people's reaction to the outcome of the final game. Are you kidding me? I could have pulled a better ending out of my goddamn ass!
I chose my path. The Geth armies are in the past. My universe will never be the same. Let's hope ME4's ending is not as lame.
Oh my god, that feels so good.